Myth has never existed in this world. Myth is actually just a form of reverse thinking that 99% of ordinary people find hard to grasp. The key difference between ordinary individuals and the wealthy lies in their mentality and thinking mindset. This video is set to completely revolutionize your decades-long traditional forward thinking. Elon Musk, one of the world's most renowned entrepreneurs today, has successfully founded several groundbreaking companies like Tesla, SpaceX, SolarCity, and more. Musk possesses grand visions and a unique mindset. He frequently employs reverse thinking to challenge conventional ideas and practices. He endeavors to blend technologies and concepts from different fields to create innovative solutions. Musk is unafraid of taking risks, constantly striving for innovation and breakthroughs. Welcome back to Wealth Wisdom, the channel that explores psychology of success and how one's mindset can impact their ability to accumulate wealth. I am giving away free ebooks of Ultimate Guide to Investing by Warren Buffett. Please make sure you watch until the end to claim for the ebook. Thinking involves breaking free from established thought patterns, a method that transcends ordinary thinking. It represents a higher level of thinking. Today, we delve into Musk's insights, exploring 6 reverse thinking concepts that will subvert your decades-old perceptions. Number 1. Positional reverse thinking. Let's begin with a story. There was a buffet restaurant suffering from severe food wastage, which was affecting its profitability. The restaurant implemented a rule. Anyone wasting food would be fined $10. As a result, business plummeted. However, someone suggested to address the issue with different approach, raising the buffet prices by $10 and changing the rule to anyone not wasting food would receive a $10 reward. It was discovered that this solution not only eliminating food wastage issue but successfully attracting more customers, resulting in better business revenue. In this scenario, if we apply the conventional thinking methodology, we often will only ask, "What am I afraid of?" I'm afraid of customers wasting food, so I try to forcefully stop them from doing so. In reverse thinking, we will start to think, what do customers want? Customers will surely feel happy if they are given with some advantages. Use a small advantage to make customers naturally value the food. Learning positional reverse thinking begins with putting yourself in others' shoes. In the practical application of positional reverse thinking, you need to genuinely stand in the shoes of others, especially those considered opponents due to conflicting interests. For instance, you visit a bank ATM at night to deposit money, but it malfunctions and causes you to lose $10,000. After contacting the bank, they inform you that a technician won't be available until the next day. However, if you call customer service again and claim that when you were withdrawing money, the ATM accidentally dispensed an extra $5,000, the outcome will absolutely be different. The bank will send their technicians in 5 minutes. You need to trigger the other party's interests. Turn your problem into their problem. As Steve Jobs once said, innovation distinguishes between a leader and a follower. Number 2. Result backtracking reverse thinking. Once there was a person who wanted to buy a shop lot. He called the phone number posted on the door, but he found that the brokerage fee was exorbitant. So, he came up with a clever plan. He took a stone and broke one of the windows, leaving his contact information behind, claiming it was an accidental breakage and asking the landlord to contact him for compensation. A few days later, the landlord contacted him, and he ended up buying the shop lot directly from the landlord, saving a considerable amount on the brokerage fee. After purchasing the shop lot, he was unsure of what business to run. So, he put up a rental advertisement. Many prospective tenants contacted him, and he used the landlord's identity to inquire about their intended business. He then selected the business that had the most inquiries among these prospective tenants. This is an example of the result backtracking method. The result backtracking or reversal method involves setting a reachable goal and then thinking backward from that goal. You start from where you want to be and use reverse thinking to chart the course forward. Another story illustrates this point. A friend borrowed $2,000 from Andrew and wrote a proof of debt document. As the repayment deadline approached, Andrew suddenly realized that he had lost the document, causing him great anxiety. He knew that without the document, his friend might deny the debt. Andrew's brother, upon hearing about the situation, advised him to write a letter to his friend, asking for $2,500 repayment. Andrew felt confused and asked, "How can I ask for $2,500 when he don't even going to repay back the $2,000? Despite his confusion, he followed his brother's advice and sent the letter. Soon after, he received a reply from his friend, stating that he indeed borrowed $2,000 and not $2,500. In this story, the goal wasn't to get $2,500, it was to obtain a new document from his friend, which is acknowledging the $2,000 debt. This is another example of the result backtracking method. In many situations, achieving your goal with your own abilities might seem impossible. That's when you need to consider who can help you achieve it, leveraging the strengths of others. Number 3. Psychology contrarian approach. When potatoes were introduced to France, they were initially referred to as devil's apples, and French farmers were reluctant to cultivate them. To change their perception, a peculiar strategy was employed. A field where potatoes were grown was guarded by fully armed soldiers. The local farmers, seeing the armed guards, believed that potatoes must be something valuable and desirable. They would sneak into the field and secretly take potatoes home to plant. As a result, potatoes became a widely cultivated crop among French farmers. This is an example of the psychological contrarian method. Psychological contrarian is the phenomenon where people tend to do the opposite of what they are told or restricted from doing. It's like the Greeks' mythology of Pandora's box. Zeus gave Pandora a box and explicitly told her never to open it. Pandora's curiosity grew, and she couldn't resist the temptation. When she finally opened the box, it released plagues, disasters, and miseries that spread throughout the world, marking the end of a human's golden age. This concept is also known as the Pandora's effect. If Zeus would have told Pandora that the box is trapped with plagues, disasters, and miseries, Pandora would never open up the box. When individuals perceive their actions are being restricted, they often engage in behaviors that regain their sense of control and freedom. This can also lead to a greater liking for the restricted object or behavior. For instance, if a child refuses to do the extra homework assigned by their father, the father might use reverse psychology by saying, "Son, how about I do the homework, and you check it for me?" The child agrees and earnestly checks his father's homework and explained the correct answer to his father. Even though he might not understand why all the answers are incorrect, over the time, the child might develop a genuine interest in doing homework. The key here is to turn what the child is reluctant to do into something that piques their curiosity, inadvertently making them enjoy the task. Number 4. Transformative reverse thinking. Let me share a story to illustrate transformative reverse thinking. Once, I accompanied a teacher to a lecture on the 23rd floor in the building. We were running late and it was peak hour, so there was a long line at the elevator. It would take at least 5 minutes to reach our classroom, which was unacceptable as the teacher couldn't afford to be late. In this dilemma, my friend suggested we take the stairs to the second floor. I immediately understood the plan. We would take the stairs to the second floor, then ride the elevator down to the first floor. Upon reaching the first floor, we wouldn't exit the elevator but continue all the way up to the 23rd floor. By doing this, we bypassed the queue and became the first ones in the elevator. Meanwhile, people on the first floor were still pondering if there was any way they could enter the elevator without waiting in line. This is the conventional thinking of most people. Transformative reverse thinking shifts us from a passive mindset to an active one. It helps us find alternative solutions and seize opportunities that others might overlook. Here's a joke. A person was about to jump off a building's rooftop, saying he was fed up with life because his girlfriend that is together with him for 8 years had left him for a wealthy man. The police officer at the scene told him, "You've been having dating with someone else's wife for 8 years, and you have the nerve to contemplate suicide here?" The man thought for a moment, chuckled, and decided to step down. In our daily life, changing your perspective to engage in transformative reverse thinking can be highly effective. For instance, in the past, factories had low efficiency levels as workers moved around machines towards components, exhausting themselves. However, someone altered the work process, using equipment to move the components while the workers remained stationary with the machine. This gradually led to the development of the assembly line, significantly boosting efficiency. Number 5. Flaw-Oriented reverse thinking. Flaw-oriented reverse thinking involves turning existing flaws or weaknesses into advantages and not just trying to overcome them. For example, many photographers face a common issue when taking group photos. Someone blinks when they count down from 3 to 1. To address this weakness, someone came up with an unconventional idea. Instead of counting down with eyes open, they suggested that everyone close their eyes before counting down from 3 to 1 and then open their eyes together. This strategy initially met with skepticism, but when they reviewed the photos, not a single person had blinked. In this case, the flaw became an advantage. Similarly, there's a story of an elderly man who loved fruits but had difficulty walking due to his leg problems. There was a fruit store downstairs, but he noticed that the fruits he bought there were consistently underweight. This issue bothered him, and he didn't know how to resolve it. He shared his frustration with his son, who came up with an innovative solution. The next time the elderly man bought 5 pounds of fruit, he asked the store owner to pick out 2 pounds of the fruits. The owner complied, taking out exactly 2 pounds of fruits out. The elderly man then took the 2 pounds of fruits removed by the store owner back into another bag and said he wanted those 2 pounds. This way, he paid for only 2 pounds of fruit but received more than 2 pounds, as he already knew that the store owner would remove more than 2 pounds of fruits from the original bag. Another example is an American ketchup brand that produced a very thick, high-concentrated tomato sauce. While other ketchup brands were more marketable, this thickness was initially seen as a flaw. However, the company decided to highlight this trait as an advantage. They marketed it as all-natural, no water-added ketchup, emphasizing that the high concentration proved the richness of the tomato content. This unconventional approach made their product stand out, and it became a top-selling ketchup brand. Number 6. Reverse transformational thinking. Reverse transformational thinking involves changing the perspective and means to solve a problem when the original approach faces obstacles. Instead of persisting with the initial method, it shifts to a different approach or changes the thinking perspective to find a smoother solution. There was a famous Chinese story. A child fell into a large water jar, and people were struggling to lift the child out. Among them, a boy named Sima Guan came up with an ingenious idea. He picked up a large stone from the ground and smashed it into the water jar, causing the jar to break and water to flow out. As the water level dropped, the drowning child was rescued. This is a classic example of reverse transformational thinking, where the problem shifted from rescuing the child to removing the water from the jar. Charlie Munger, the renowned investor, often employs reverse thinking in problem solving. For instance, to understand how to make a company successful, he first studies how to make it fail. By identifying failure points, he can then avoid those pitfalls and enhance the company's chances of success. Reverse transformational thinking is about looking at a problem from a different angle, challenging conventional wisdom, and discovering innovative solutions by transforming obstacles into opportunities. As Einstein once said, "A new type of thinking is essential if mankind is to survive and move toward higher levels."